We're spending time in these 10 years of the Kulwicki Driver Development Program with the Kulwicki Cup Champions. We welcome in 2016 Kulwicki Cup Champion from Lemira, Wisconsin, Alex Prunty. Alex, how are you today?
I'm doing good. How are you today, Jim?
I'm super because you know what? You're still racing, you're still winning championships, and I see at a bunch of racetracks. This is amazing to know what 2015, when you won the limited late model championship at Slinger, turned into for you becoming a Kulwicki finalist in 2016 and bagging the cup. What was that time like watching Steve Apel and Ty Majeski battling for the points in 2015 for the Kulwicki Cup? And then you said, hey, wait a minute, I want to be part of this next year.
Yeah, it's fun to think about because now a couple of years ago we were at the Nationals. I was actually sitting with John DeAngelis and they referred to us as veterans. And I was like, when did we become veterans? When I was in the Kulwicki program, we were so young and we are just up and coming, and you didn't know what the next 10 years would hold. And it's been a lot of fun to go down that road. And I attribute a lot of my success in the super late ranks to the Kulwicki program, because at the time, I mean, a lot about us and our small family team. Like I was just running late models at Slinger because that was financially what we could do. And I was having a lot of fun. I was having success, but it was never really a plan for me to go super late racing until, Tom Roberts and the Kulwicki program kind of came and pushed me to go to that next level. And from there, once you got in supers, it's just so much fun to drive a super late model that, it just kind of took off from there.
So TR bugged you to say, you might want to try this, because I know there's a strong connection to Wisconsin with Alan Kulwicki's success here. I say here because I'm in Wisconsin, as you are. But that had to be something special, knowing that you're racing at Slinger, a track that Alan Kulwicki won a track championship in 1981 and 1977 and 1978. And he won the Slinger Nationals, the second running in 1981. People always think of the Slinger Nationals when you hear the word Slinger. So all of that history really kind of followed you through then, and even probably till this day, isn't it? Still following you around.
Yeah. And I mean, like when I was just starting out racing late model stuff, I always had a purpose, right? We had the whole family running super lates. Like I always had drive. I always really wanted to be successful, but I never had that outlook I didn't think I could afford the super late model scene, with the help of Tom and the Kulwicki program really pushing me to get to that next level. Like I said, not saying I didn't have the drive to go do it, but it really kind of threw it in overgear to push me to get out of my comfort zone and race super late models. And, forever grateful for everything that the Kulwicki program and TR did for me to get me, to open my eyes that we can do this.
Well, let's get a little more in depth into what Alex Prunty's history was before 2016 when you burst on the scene for super late model racing. Your family, your three uncles have won championships at Slinger. Two uncles have won the Slinger Nationals. You and your brother have both finished second in points this year in your respective divisions at Slinger Speedway. So you guys are interwoven at that speedway, but there's a lot of success in the upper Midwest for your family. What was your earliest involvement in racing way before you decided to drive a race car yourself?
I mean, I can't even remember how old I was, but I was in the garage. My dad was, basically the car chief on all my uncle's cars. So from the time, my dad got out of work, he'd pick me up, we'd go to the race shop, and I just, we hung out at the race shop every night, which is my grandparents' house. So all the cousins were there too. So it was a whole family affair. There's 10, whatever of us out in the shop every given night. So that's just how I grew up. I was in the shop every night, whether, following dad around, getting in the way, or messing around with grandpa, doing other projects, running to go get fuel. I was always involved. And, I started going in the pits with them, I think when I was 10. David had a crew guy that couldn't make it that night. And that was my shot, right? You get to go in the pits, you can come help, do tires, whatever. And from there, I mean, I never missed a race at Slinger. So I've been going there from the time that, all the way back to what you can remember, right? So it's just, it's been a fun ride. And the way it started with family passion, and still going on today, obviously now with my brother racing, still racing against Uncle Dennis on a weekly thing. That was always a dream. Like I always just thought it'd be so cool. You're watching your uncles, David, Dennis, and Dale battle out in super lates. You just always wanted to be that guy out there with them, right? And now we finally got to that point. And, David retired and I was mainly helping him do tires, and he kind of taught me all that stuff. And then I did get my chance to race, with Dennis and Dale. So it's a lot of fun with a family rivalry. Obviously it's pretty heated and serious. Nobody wants to be the slowest Prunty, right? So, it's just been a lot of fun carrying on this family legacy with me and Zach and taking it to the next generation.
I get to host this national podcast called The Bow Ring, talking about short track racing and talking about drivers from all across the country. But I want them to have a snapshot of a given night, say in 2010. You're racing a four-cylinder at Slinger, but I know you weren't in your car longer than you had to be, because I know you were also running around for how many other teams with the last name Prunty working on their cars and their tires to get ready for their races the same night.
Yeah, I was mainly helping David at that time. It was,
okay.
things were very competitive back then. There was a wall between the two shops, right? So you had David kind of doing his thing, Dennis and Dale kind of doing theirs, and my dad was with Dennis and Dale, and I was with David. So you can imagine what that was like, right? Again, nobody wants to be the slowest Prunty. That's been going on for years. It's nothing new. So yeah, I was mainly helping David doing tires at the time, and now obviously it's come full circle, right? Where David's my tire guy. So I've had so much family support. I never be able to do this without my family. To this day, it's still me, my dad, Zach, Dennis, all the family guys in the shop helping each other. And obviously my grandpa's been instrumental in, teaching me and my brother and taking care of all of us and, learning all the things, that we need to learn to become adults and what I consider to be good kids, I guess. But, like I said, it's with us, it all starts with the family and ends with the family. And it's just what we do.
Your brother Zach was part of your team. Then he decided to go race something. He's racing a late model now. What was that like, knowing that you kind of had to either help him or not have him around as much because he had his own race car to worry about on a given Sunday night?
Well, you might not believe it, but even though he's still running his own car, we're parked right next to each other, right? So we're still working together. And when he's not working on his car, well, he's working on my car. And when I'm not working on my car, I'm working on his car. So, I mean, like I said, it's a family thing. And everywhere I go, he goes. And if he's somewhere, I'm coming too. So, with him racing, it really hasn't, stopped the working and helping between the two of us.
And Alex, you're successful at whatever you do. You raced around the upper Midwest. You get a chance to race at Slinger. You won a championship twice now. Raced the second in points this year at Slinger Super Speedway in the super lates. Your brother Zach finished second in points in the late models. When it comes to the Quickie program, there's something special that happens once a year at Slinger Speedway. It's called the Alan Quickie Memorial Race. And I got a chance to attend it. So did Danny Cameron, one of Alan's crew guys. And I was trying to get you over for a picture. Like, hey, let's get all the Quickie guys together. Levon and you and April. I'm like, hey, come on, Sky. All these guys were finalists of the program, right? That are in Wisconsin. And I couldn't get you because you were too busy worrying about your shocks and you had some kind of throttle hanging up or something. You are still way involved in your car. How much does that a Quickie influence come to think about, as we reflect on these 10 years, how much did that just become a happenstance or how much was that a matter of fact? Like you had to do it, but you now know every element of the race car, kind of like that Quickie guy did.
That was one thing that my dad instilled in my head was if I wanted to race, he didn't want me just to be, a kid showing up and not knowing anything about it. Right? He forced me to learn all this stuff. I shouldn't even say he forced me. I wanted to do all this, right? So he told me, go to school, learn all this stuff, learn all the engineering aspects of it. And, the best drivers in his eyes were always the ones that knew how to work on the cars themselves, right? You have a full picture of everything that's going on. And that's the same thing with Alan, right? So Alan was an engineer. He's doing all this stuff on his own. He physically understands how the car works. And then you get in the car and you have that feel, right? So it's really, he reinforced that, to teach me all these things and forcing me to do it on my own so that I wouldn't be reliant, always on him, but physically learning how all these things work. And yeah, you caught me at a really bad time because we were in the middle of a shock change, an axle change, and a tire change. And so we were trying to swap axles and I just bought a brand new axle, trying something new for the first time, something I had done before, and the axle got stuck. I couldn't get it out. So yeah, we're trying to take a picture and I got a stuck axle and qualifying's in 5 minutes,
Well, I thank you for taking the 20 seconds it was. We just walked onto Bryce Miller's car and got that picture. You went right back to work. I think your fire suit was still on because you were just too busy to do anything else.
Trust me, I wanted to be there with you, but the stuck axle was really throwing me for a loop there.
And you race for points. My goodness, they don't race every weekend, Slinger. You better get it right when you get a chance to race a super on those high banks in Wisconsin. Yeah. When it comes to racing, we talked about your family, we talked about your knowledge as a driver. How about off the track? The things you did in school, the things you did in 2016 and continue to do, and with a community-minded approach, which was part of the Alan Quickie program and part of his legacy as well.
Yeah, I mean, the Alan Quickie program really kind of showed me the full picture of what being a race car driver is, right? It's more than just, building a car, being fast, but just promoting your team, promoting your fans, and then engaging with everyone, right? Within the community, your fan base. And so I learned a lot from the Quickie program, just doing interviews like this. Like I used to really struggle, just the communication aspect of talking to people. I was, I wouldn't say I was shy, but I just kind of kept to myself, right? So that was one thing that the Quickie program really helped me was meet a ton of people. Like I still talk, all the drivers that I met with that people you see on the internet, but you never really interact with. Like I met so many lifetime friends now just through the program and still talk to in this very day. There's so many things that the program did for me that I'm forever grateful for.
Drivers come from around the country to race at Slinger Speedway. Slinger Nationals, you've raced in the last 9 of them. You finished second to Bubba Howard in 2017. Other national drivers have come to Slinger. Drivers get noticed. crew members get noticed. And you are now working with a lot of different drivers and teams around the country, right? Doing what for their teams, and what's your role for even the rest of this 2025 season? No longer racing a race car in Wisconsin, but you've got more work to do with what and with whom.
Yeah, well, I've been very fortunate to be given a lot of opportunities, just with the people that I've met, to be able to go down south, do tires for a bunch of various teams. This weekend, I'm going to be spotting and doing some driver coaching, so trying to, give back and do, just, I've been so fortunate with everybody that, in my family that's taught me. So it's really enjoyable for me to kind of go and kind of pass along that knowledge. And so, yeah, I get to travel the country and see all these cool tracks. I'll be at Nashville, and it's just a lot of fun for me to continue to kind of help out, up and coming drivers.
There's a lot of pressure to work with teams on a national level when it comes to ASA Stars National, when it comes to ASA Midwest Tour, when it comes to big standalone races like the Snowball Derby. You are employed by them to be part of their team. I wrote down 3 words that Alan Kulwicki, I'm sure, lived by, that I think you have to have an ability with: pressure, focus, and precision. Managing all of those to succeed. How much does that kind of reflect now on, okay, I'm getting these opportunities, they're calling me, they want me there because I know what I'm doing, but I know how to handle that pressure. I know how to stay focused. I know how to be precise with my 0.01 pounds of air pressure in those tires.
Honestly, sticking with the family motto here, I've been under pressure from my family since I was 10. So, it doesn't really affect me. Those big moments, I'm 30 some years old. I'm so old, I don't even remember how old I am anymore. So, I mean, the pressure, as I've, matured and gotten older, the pressure thing doesn't really bother me. It doesn't really phase you, right? You just kind of get in the zone, you just go do it. Right. And that's the big thing that helps me stay focused, is you just kind of get in that zone, right? And nothing else matters. You just focus on getting your job done and doing it right.
Lots to think about, but I also know that Christmas is coming and you've got 2 young kids at home with your wife, Sierra. They may not be quite old enough to race a kid kart, but I'm guessing your Uncle David or Uncle Dale might have a couple of karts laying around because his 2 kids are way into go-karting now. Is there another Prunty generation coming along here? Have you thought about that yet?
I haven't gotten there. We got so much going on. Ruby's 2.5 now, and if it's something she wants to do, we'll do it. If she wants to, proceed other things, I'll do whatever she wants to do, whatever makes her happy. So we'll see where it goes. But yeah, right now she's starting to turn into a little bit of a daredevil.
And that 4-month-old child will also be taking notes every way along the way, saying, "Oh, if she did that, I could do that." Good luck with that.
Yeah, I can only imagine where that's going to go.
When you look back at what the Kulwicki Cup did and provided you, and looking forward, there are youngsters that are going to be applying for this program in 2026 as early as January 1st on the website kulwickiddp.com. I've asked others as well. I want to ask you as well, Alex. What would be the worthwhile need or push or sell line from you to encourage people to apply?
I mean, it was career changing for me. It physically took my program to the next level just by the recognition we got. We met so many people, even in the state. It wasn't even necessarily national stuff, but just getting recognized by people statewide, being involved in the Kulwicki program. It's cool here in Wisconsin because a lot of people are familiar with Alan, and you get a lot of people in the grandstands that physically come up to you and tell you, they were one of Alan's biggest fans. They followed him. They're following you now because, with the whole Kulwicki program. So I said, it wasn't just a big financial help. I mean, it was a big financial help, with the basic super late expenses, but it was huge in promoting my team and getting us recognition, meeting new people, lifelong now sponsors, that I met through, just being in the program. So if you're looking to take your program to the next level, I highly recommend. I can't show enough gratitude for everything that the program did for me. I mean, it was a great experience and I really enjoyed it.
Last question is, what do you do for a real job? Because I think that's important and applies to what the focus is as well: getting a job, getting a career, and going racing at the same time.
So I'm an engineering technician for Briggs & Stratton. So I work on the prototypes here, whether it be battery, electric power, engine power, hybrid stuff, kind of all over the map. So yeah, engineering every day. That's what we do. Work at Briggs & Stratton during the day, race cars at night, and dad too. So yeah, it's a lot going on.
Well, looking forward to seeing you at the big races at the end of the year, working on pit crews with some very high caliber teams. Alex, it's been a pleasure seeing you here. It's a pleasure to know you won another championship just 2 years ago, racing for championships every chance you get, including racing around the Upper Midwest, the Dells Raceway Park and the Tundra Series and Alive for Five and Red, White, and Blue. I mean, you're all part of the fabric, especially when you stand out and are a champion multi-times over in 3 different divisions at Slinger Super Speedway. Alex, thanks for being part of our program. Highlight of 10 years of the Kulwicki Driver Development Program, our 2016 Kulwicki Cup champion, Alex Prunty. Thanks again for your time.
Appreciate it, Jim. Thank you.